It was the summer before 6th grade when I met my very best friend, Jamie. I was at an art summer camp, and I saw this girl with long blonde hair, and when I looked over her shoulder, she was drawing a character from my very favorite cartoon show, Sailor Moon. It's a Japanese show about young girls who have magical powers that come from the moon and the planets. So shyly, I scooted up to her and I said, "Hey, is that Sailor Venus?" "Yeah, she's my favorite." "My favorite is Sailor Mercury." From then on, we were inseparable. We started swapping drawings back and forth, and then we created our own original characters and started to write stories about them. By the time school started up, we were swapping whole notebooks with stories and notes between class. We sat together at lunch every day, and on the weekend we would have sleepovers where we would take everything in the fridge and stuff it in the blender and then blend it up and dare each other to drink it. It was gross. Our friendship was founded on creativity. So besides writing stories, we did original radio plays, complete with commercials, and a terrible home horror movie called The Hand, about a disembodied Halloween hand that was trying to kill me. Spoiler alert, I survived. We also loved video games, and we made elaborate costumes with headpieces and armor and silk and tassels and velvet based on our favorite video game characters. And we went to anime conventions and even won prizes. Every year, we celebrated Talk Like a Pirate Day, arr. And we loved to dress up like ninjas, go to the mall, and pretend like we were on a secret mission. We'd be hiding behind potted plants and giving each other hand signals. And for some reason, this was, we're teenagers, we thought it was cool that we were carrying spatulas. And we called ourselves the Spatula Ninjas, not surprisingly. So we loved to be silly together. And more than that, we were each other's closest confidants. Jamie was the first person I told when my 6th grade boyfriend asked me out, and she was not impressed because he was pretty immature. He did not last long. Then we went to the Valentine's dance together, and every time a slow dance came on, we dared each other to ask our crushes out to dance. But we were too shy, so we ended up dancing together. Now, we were very close all throughout middle school, but as we grew into young adults and we started to explore the world and our places in it, the cracks in our friendship started to show. One day, I was reading my biology textbook in a sunny window in her house when I looked up to tell her what I thought was a cool fact. "Hey, Jamie, did you know that whales are evolved from deer-like animals and they even still have hip bones?" She looked like somebody had splashed her with water in the face. "Hope, I don't believe in evolution. I believe in creationism." "Wait, what?" We were in the same class, and I couldn't believe that anybody who had been taught the facts could still not believe in evolution. I felt defensive, so I went on the attack. "So did God just plant dinosaur bones everywhere to trick people? Or were the dinosaurs created and then they were destroyed in the flood?" She looked flustered. "I don't know, Hope. I believe what the Bible says is true." "Well, I believe in Darwin." I felt so stuck. How could we be friends if we couldn't even agree on some basic things about how the world worked? Then another day, she came up to me on the stairs with tears in her eyes. "Hope, I'm worried because you don't believe in Jesus." "Jamie, do you think I'm going to hell?" I'm afraid you won't be there in heaven with me." We walked upstairs to her room and we held each other in the darkness and talked. "Jamie, I kind of wish I could believe in Jesus, but I just don't. It might make my life easier, but I can't make myself. And I see heaven as a story that people made up to make themselves feel better about dying. Besides, I can't believe in something that would doom my friends and family to hell. I just wish I knew you would be there with me. It hurt because we cared about each other so much. I didn't want to disappoint her. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, there was this nagging fear. Like, what if I was just a Christian conversion project for her? What if she wasn't even really my friend? Then there was our worst argument. When I was 15, I began to realize that I was attracted to women. And at that time, I had very black and white thinking. I thought bisexuals were fence sitters who could not make up their minds. So I identified as a lesbian. And of course, I was dying to tell my best friend, but I was scared because I knew about her conservative Christian beliefs. At the best, I thought we might lose our special closeness. And at the worst, it could be the last conversation we ever had. So on a hot summer day by the pool in her backyard, out of nowhere, I shouted out, "Jamie, I'm gay!" And then I jumped into the deep end of the pool. I was flushed with embarrassment. And then I floated there in the weightless void, underwater. As long as I stayed underwater, I didn't have to look at her face. I didn't have to hear her reaction. So I held my breath as long as I could. But eventually, I had to come up for air. Hope, I wish you weren't choosing this lifestyle. It's going to make your life so much harder than it has to be. Do you think homosexuality is a sin? I'm not clear on that, but I do know the church thinks it's a choice, and it's a choice you don't have to make. This is not a choice. This is who I am. I was born this way. Why can't you understand that? I felt so hurt and misunderstood. And at that moment, I feared that I might lose her forever, the person who was the most important person to me in all the world. But that day in the pool, Jamie reached out to me, and she wrapped me up in the biggest hug. Hope, I will always love you, and I'll always be there for you, no matter what. And we sat there in the shallow end of the pool, and we held each other, and we cried. Every time it happened that we had a disagreement, we shared each other's opinions, we listened to each other, and then at the end of the day, we agreed to disagree. Then we didn't need to have those conversations again. As we grew into adults, we continued to support each other. All throughout my teenage years, Jamie was warm and open and welcoming to my girlfriends, and she supported me in my relationships. Then, as an adult, when I started to explore having an open relationship with my first husband, my liberal friends freaked out. One of them said, "If you have an open relationship and you tell people about it, you will destroy the marriages of everyone we know." As if I had that kind of power. So I was scared to tell Jamie I knew how much she believed in monogamy. But she did not blink an eye. And she supported me no matter how many relationships I had going at a time. And then there was climate change. We disagreed on whether it was human-caused. But she went out of her way to make a referral for the climate change health nonprofit that I worked for. And when her oldest son turned 7, she confided in me that he was different from her other children, that she didn't understand him. She was afraid there was something wrong with him. I had noticed signs of him being on the autism spectrum, but I had been afraid to tell her because I thought she might hear it as, "There is something wrong with your child." But I saw this as an opening. "Hey, Jamie, you know how Paul has a hard time making eye contact and how he doesn't seem to get social cues sometimes? I think he might be on the autism spectrum. The other thing that makes me think that is his incredible talent with music and the piano. People with autism often have special interests like that. As I listed the signs that I saw, she cried tears of relief and release and recognition. I didn't know there could be any plus sides to autism. I was scared. I thought it was a bad thing. You know, from everything I know, it's very challenging, but I think having a framework like this might help you understand him better and might help him navigate the world. She took him to a specialist where he did receive an autism diagnosis, and from that day forward, she became his fiercest advocate and ally. Nowadays, we live about 4 hours apart, and we keep up with regular phone calls and annual weekend visits. I've watched her children grow up, and I've been like an aunt to them. I come down and we walk and look at plants, and I tell them about wildcrafting. I play music with them, and sometimes we just sing karaoke and play video games together. We're still very close, and there are things that we just don't talk about. We both know there are core, important beliefs that we don't share and we don't see eye to eye on. But we do share core, important values, like respecting each other, personal growth, and a deep commitment to our friendship. From when we were 17 to when we were 19, I lived in Jamie's house, and being roommates was not always easy. So for her 19th birthday, I wrote her a list of 19 things I love about Jamie. And all these years later, she's saved the list, and she shared it with me recently. Jamie is the best hugger. She's the most brilliantly creative person I know. She knows how to be silly, and when I poke her on the nose, she goes, bite, bite, bite. She's there for me when I laugh, when I cry, and even when I puke. She listens to me, and she respects me even when we disagree. And she's always there for me, no matter what. All of these things are still true, and that's why I treasure my lifelong friendship with Jamie. Thank you.